Welcome to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast, featuring in-depth interviews with people in hip-hop culture, based out of New England. Leeds. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. No complaints.
Yeah,
Nope. I got music out to the world, and I'm outside again. So that's it.
Yeah, I got my crap. Where did I put my notes? I had my notes. I just lost my notes. Oh, there they are. Okay, cool. Sorry, it's coming. Write one thing down. Okay, here we go. Word. And I'd like to welcome everybody to the Leedz Edutainment Podcast. We have a very special guest, rapper, producer, engineer, a few other things, Mr. Latrell James. Thanks for making time, brother.
Nah, absolutely. Anytime.
All right. You in your studio right now, obviously?
Your little home setup in the back here, a little something.
Just a little?
A little something, yeah. It get the job done. It get me paid.
Now, is that the studio that you do most of your business with, or is this a different studio?
This one, I make most of my beats and stuff out of here for sure. I like the little home base setup more than being in the studio to make beats. Recording, I'll go wherever to record. I don't really have a preference of recording though, for sure.
Yeah, I always go back. We always start. I go back. We'll bring it up to speed in a bit. But you are Dorchester born, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I read you're the fourth of six kids.
That's correct. There's a lot of us.
And a musical family.
Yeah, a lot of us do music. It's a blessing.
So how's that work? What's that family dynamic like?
I mean, sheesh. My parents didn't really do music. My mom managed my uncle at one point. My pops listened to a lot of music in the crib, but then my older sister Tori, she started really dabbling into recording. She went to this program called Zoomix, and she came back with a song, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. So after that, I just try to find a way to make beats. A buddy of mine in middle school showed me FL Studio. I brought that home. Both of my brothers were on that making beats too. So it just kind of, everybody caught the bug at the same time and started making music. So it's kind of how we got here today.
You say Tori's your sister. Is this Tori?
Absolutely.
I didn't know that till right now. I had no idea you guys were related.
Crazy. Yeah, that's my sister, yeah.
Yeah, so shout out to her and her birthday last night performing at Sonia. That was a great show.
Absolutely. She's amazing.
So she's older than you?
Yeah, she's older. Not by a lot either. We're I think a year apart.
Yeah, I know that Zoomix program. I've worked with them before. It's a great program teaching kids young how to do music production, all this great stuff, and It's a really good program.
Yeah, it's a game changer for sure, because I didn't know anything about what a studio looked like, how to make a beat until I seen that stuff go down. So changed my life low key.
We got to put that type of music into vocational schools, like the engineering side and the music production side. Like that should be a voc training.
I 100% agree, because it's a skill set that can get you paid as soon as you get out of high school. It's kind of crazy that it's not.
Especially on the live music side, because I work in that now. I do backline, and I work with a lot of these live engineers and audio guys, and man, they make good money.
It's just simple. It makes sense though too. Maybe one day. Massachusetts got to figure that out though.
Sure. I won't hold my breath. So when did you make the transition to Brockton? I feel like you live in Brockton now, right?
Yeah, so most of the time I'm in Brockton, half the time I'm in Atlanta. So I'm half and half right now. So
what's that all about? Why are you half in Atlanta?
Publishing deal.
Yeah,
nice. So I signed a publishing deal with Sony ATV a year ago, year and a half ago. So they're based in Atlanta. So all my work is mostly out of there. It could be New York, it could be LA, but a lot of times I'm in Atlanta.
So what, you got to go down to their studio and work on songs down there?
Nah, it's a preference though. With the rate being involved in Sony, they got a really good rate for a studio. So I'm not getting hit over the head as opposed to being up here. And then also just I have access to their whole roster, right? So whoever's down there working, I get to just set up a date and work with them inside their studios and get work done. So make all my money outside of Boston for sure.
And so this is working out well for you. this
Oh,
publishing deal?
it's been between that and sync. Yeah, those two things are, man, game changers. It's some stuff you don't gotta leave the house for.
Yeah, I'm gonna get back to that. I want to circle back, but I don't want to go too far from Brockton. So how did you end up in Brockton?
Yeah, so I ended up in Brockton because my parents decided to move out here. I didn't even want to be out here. I was going to high school in Roxbury at New Mission, and then when I graduated, my parents decided to move out here. So instead of like going back and forth to Boston, I just wanted to start helping build a community out here and find people that was dope. And I ended up running to this place called the Sound Lab. And from the Sound Lab, I ended up meeting what you see now as Van Buren, Notebook P. There's so many people that Leo the Kind, folks that came out of that one little space that we were all in. And it's just been cool to see that. Like I just didn't want to go to Boston. I hated traveling the extra 30 minutes to go into the city. So I found some like-minded individuals out here, and they thought I was cool too. So that's how I got out to Brockton. Though I
Yeah,
had
because
no.
you've become kind of like a pillar, not only in Boston but big pillar in Brockton
Mhm.
because you're also an engineer, right? So you're like recording and
Yeah,
producing these artists, correct?
yeah. We had a studio at Dover Street on the first floor for like 2 years, and I would engineer artists. It was a way for me to actually like keep money in my pocket, but also me to learn at the same time. I wasn't charging an arm and leg. I was just trying to keep the doors open. So I was learning and I was building relationships with people that were growing in the city too. So meeting them, I ended up meeting all of those members there, just building. But eventually I left and they ended up being in the building themselves. So I inspired them clearly to do something better than I could ever imagine. So
Talk to me about the Brockton music scene a little more
mhm.
because it's kind of it's obviously overshadowed by Boston, but
Yeah.
you guys have been putting in work down there. Talk to me about more what's going on down there these
I mean,
days.
I wish I could speak fully for it. All I know is my little tidbit and my addition to it. But like they've been working at the end of the day. Like, when you're 20 something miles away from Boston and people don't mention you, you're gonna have an extra chip on your shoulder. You're gonna want to come to the city and sell out every venue and prove that you could do it too. So like they have that. And I seen that in them way back then. I knew they were gonna get over into the city and make noise, but like it's just my little contribution. They've been doing this though. Like they all have visions of doing these things that they're doing now. It's just we're in a better space as far as like being able to share your music on the internet and accessibility. There's so many small sub labels now doing deals with artists now too. So like we're in a way better space as far as like reach in Boston. So they're in great position.
You talked about you mentioned Van Buren, and that name has come up. Van Buren Records came up a lot over the last couple of years. I just heard about it, and then they were obviously doing big shows and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Can you talk a little more about Van Buren and their contribution of how this has
Man,
worked?
it's I could just say that they're a big energy push to everything that's happening in Brockton for sure. I mean, when you got a collective of that many people that are that talented, that do so many different things at once, you're gonna be able to make noise really fast. So like that's everything I would say is really on their backs right now. Like as far as Brockton music go, I don't think people knew what was happening out in Brockton until Van Buren stamped that thing. So
Can you name all the group members?
yeah, absolutely. I know them all personally. That's
Shoot them
Luke.
off. Shoot them off. Shoot them off.
That's Luke. That's E.T. Giles, Felix, Ricky, Andrew, Meech, Invader. And that shit. There's honorary folks too, but like, yeah, that's the artist side of it. Yeah,
Do you produce for them?
yeah. I produced for most of them. Yeah, I
Oh
did. I
wow.
produced on their. I produced on their projects, and then like individually, I produced them too.
So what came first, the producing or the rapping, or both?
I was rapping first, but in like '03, '04, beats were hard to get. Like as far as like people were charging an arm and leg. Like it was like right at the beginning of the internet era where you can kind of like get beats online, but like I was still pulling up to people's studios and they were charging $300 a beat. So once I found FL Studio and I figured out I could make my own joints, I learned how to sample. I was like never asking for somebody to make me a beat again. So that's really what happened. I was rapping first, couldn't afford no beats, and then started making my own beats, and now beats make me money.
Right. FL Studio. Yeah, I've seen you mention that a couple of times. What exactly is that? Can we go and elaborate more on what that is?
Yeah, it's pretty much like a digital software to make beats in. It was technically made for like EDM music, like at the beginning of it. And I mean, if you put sampling in something, it's easily gonna become a hip hop tool. So
Right.
once sampling got involved in that, we was able to take snares and stuff from other records and put it in that program. It really changed everything. And Ninth Wonder was really the catalyst for me to even know what FL Studio was, because like again, he produced the record for Jay-Z Threats. That solidified it being like a real program in hip hop for real.
Still. So you set yourself up as a producer, an engineer, you're rapping,
Mm.
and then you kind of make a splash on the Boston music scene with this 12 album
Yep.
that I had really not heard of you. I saw you making moves up until this point, and then, you released the 12 at the album release party at Wonder Bar, rest in peace.
Oh man. Oh man.
What was that? When was that? 2015? When I can't. It feels like ever ago.
Yeah, 15 for sure. I was 15. Yep.
Yeah. So talk to me about making 12, because I was like, obviously you probably made music before that, but talk about 12 is because it's 12 years of from 12 to 24, right? That's how old you were.
Yep.
Talk to me
Correct.
more about making that debut.
Yeah. I mean, I had a project before that. I had a different name. And then I switched my name right before that.
Oh, hold up. What was the name?
That's funny. I went by Sonny Carson.
Sonny
So
Carson. All
yeah.
right.
So I switched my name to like my first and middle name. And I was just like, I had a project ready to drop. And I was like, it doesn't feel authentic to myself. So my birthday is also 12/12. So like that's the whole spin on 12 going there. But I definitely was to tell the story of me from 12 to 24, what it was like growing up with a bunch of siblings in the house. I got both my parents in the house at the time. So like I was just want to tell my story. That was it. Like and 12 was the perfect number to do it. And also it was the first, I was just trying to be innovative. I have no back cover art for that project. The cover art is the front. Like all those symbols are I was just trying to just be different with it and see what I could do with spending the least amount of money.
And you put your family on the project too. Like the family's on it too, right?
Yeah, I got family members on pretty much every project for sure. Yeah.
Right, right. So from there, things kind of start moving for you pretty well, huh?
Yeah. I mean, as far as Boston, yeah, I was just,
Yeah.
at that moment, I was really thinking about how to make noise outside of here. Because like,
Instantly.
again, yeah, you throw a stone inside of a lake, it's gonna make, but when you throw it in the ocean, it's not the same splash. So like, I'm like, how do I make noise in New York? So like, that really got me to, that project got me on like, that was like almost the dying of the blog era too, right? We started fizzling out. So, but that was getting me looks from the two Dope Boys, the DJ booths, all of the blogs that you could possibly think of. So like, yeah, I'm grateful for that project. That project literally set me up to be with Latrell James today.
So what did you do from here? Oh, I want to bring up one story. So I read somewhere that you were working at Renner Center and you got asked to open up for Kendrick Lamar and they wouldn't let you. So you quit the job and went and opened for Kendrick Lamar.
Yes, that is absolutely fact. That was UMass Boston. I don't know what year that is. Whatever year Section 80 dropped is that time. And they wouldn't let me out. And that was the last time I actually worked a job, which is funny. So I made the right decision, clearly. They wasn't trying to let me like perform. I'm like, yo, I'm trying to open up for Kendrick. They're like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, Mike, I gotta go. Like, I'm out. And that was it. I don't remember ever going back to a job after that.
Yeah. Well, you have a job. It's just a different type of job.
Yeah.
It's not,
Yeah.
it's not,
Yeah.
it's still a job.
Yeah.
What you do is still a lot of work. Probably more work
Yeah.
than you probably would have done in Renner Center.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's more fulfilling of on what I'm doing here.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it at all. Yep.
But you're the boss. You're the boss.
That's the biggest difference.
So what other moves did you make around this time? Like what were some key moves that you did to kind of capitalize on this momentum?
For that, immediately I started looking for sync opportunities. That's the truth, right? My brain went sync. What do you do with music that's out already? You got to place it somewhere. So I ended up meeting this guy Brian at Gratitude Sound, which is like a sync company boutique agency here in Boston.
I know
And
him. I
yeah,
know him.
good guy. Good
He's
guy.
the bassist in Tree, right?
Correct. 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 Yep.
I
Yep. Yep.
know Brian Hinckley, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Amazing,
know
man.
him. Good
So he
man.
reached out to me with a Dunkin' Donuts commercial, and I just did it, didn't get it, but then eventually a Cheerios commercial came about to me through just looking for sync. Like that was the first time I ever even thought about doing sync. I wasn't like, oh, I have a plan. We researched at the time, found somebody that was in Boston. We met up with him, and the second thing that came about was that Cheerios commercial, and it worked. So it's all just been like just going with the flow. I think that's the best thing that I tell people to do too. Sometimes like you got to go with the flow, right? Like, okay, if that's what you're thinking, how do you get to that point? Okay, you want to be on a commercial. Is there any agencies in your city that you could reach out to? If not, use the internet. So like maybe New York is the closest one. Go there. So like that's how we was thinking at the time. It's just like, yo, whatever we're thinking, let's go do that. And the idea was just to bring my catalog of music over there. It wasn't the goal to do commercials like original cuts for a commercial. It was just to take my music and port it over. But we're artists. We use our voices and we use production. You got to use those skills in other places besides trying to be on Spotify, radio. Like the big money's on commercials and television syncs and movies. So like once I seen that and that check cleared, everything changed after that. I've been in sync. I've been living over there. Only if
That's
people
great.
knew. Only if people knew.
No, yeah, I mean, I've heard this a lot of times that the sync is really, it's a very excellent source of income for artists.
And it's a lot of times it's stuff you don't have to think. I think people really like miss that side of it. Like there's a part of being an artist where you just don't want to think, right? Like it's some of the stuff I do, like I wasn't thinking when I made the Cheerios commercial. I was like, yeah, I want the money, but like it was the most effortless thing I ever did. I was just like, make a happy song.
So what'd you do? Do you rap about Cheerios and made the beat? Is that what you did?
Nah, so they provide lyrics, but everything else I kind of like laid out the foundation for. I played some chords and then I laid out the structure of how everything went, the melody of the song and all of that. So that's how I ended up with ownership in the Cheerios commercials because I played the chords in it, I laid out the groundwork of it, and I laid the melody for it.
What are any other notable sync placements you've had?
Yeah, geez, man, I've done. I mean, if you go to Mercedes lots right now, I'm part of Mercedes stock music. My voice, I'm in there actually rapping. I'm part of the rap section for Mercedes cars. I did a Whataburger commercial recently. I did two Cheerios commercials. So I did the Cheerios Big Good Goes Around anthem, and then I did a Honey Nut Cheerios commercial that came out too. Um, Hydro, which is like a rowing machine. I did a Bank of America commercial during the pandemic. Sheesh. I just got a Verizon commercial that I just did that I literally wrote the lyrics to, which is cool because that makes more money for me too. Literally just happened like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I can't even think. I'm probably like 30, 40 syncs in at this point, like on like major scale stuff. So very
Good for
grateful for
you.
it.
Good for you. What would you tell people? Any advice about wanting to get into sync? You got any pointers?
Reach out. Look for boutique one. There's so many of them. Like, and if they don't know, hit me up. I literally will share whatever because sync opportunities is not for. It's not everyone's not the perfect fit for it, right? So like they're gonna look for what they think deemed right for it and reach out to that person. So you're not taking any money off of out of my pocket when you reach out to them. So I'll give you everybody I know. There's too
That's
much
good
work
too.
anyway.
I also read that you did some work with Dreamville.
Absolutely.
What was talk about that?
So yeah, so I was at the Dreamville sessions back in I don't know when that was when they did that big old session down in Atlanta. It might have been 2019. I want to say it was pre-pandemic for sure because you couldn't have been down there like that. 2019, and that was like yeah, January 2019. So I got down there. I didn't know anybody down there. That's just the honest truth. But I had a relationship with Jid at the time because I had produced for Jid on this on his album the Never Story, which ironically I met through you. So I got to give you your flowers today, right? So here's how this works. So you booked me for a show when Omen was on tour for the Elephant Eyes tours that had me, John Hope, Omen, Dutch
Gotcha.
Rebel, and JID on that show. I met Jid that night, and that
Jid was
turned
on
into
that show?
yes,
Wow, he was unknown at that time, huh?
yes. So I met him that night, and
Wow.
that turned into my whole relationship with Dreamville, working with Earth Gang, being tied in. So like that show to you, thank you.
You're welcome. I mean, that's amazing. I didn't even know that Jid was on that show.
Yeah,
JID was on that show.
he
I
was
knew
like
Omen
what?
was on the show.
Yo, it was so crazy because like when you hit me up for the show, I went through the show. I was like, damn, who's this? I hit him up on Twitter, like, yo, bro, I don't know who you are, but like, I want to link with you. Your voice crazy. So we ended up linking that night.
Yeah. So you
Amazing.
ended up so what did you end up doing? What did you end up doing with them?
So for Jid, I produced on Jid's first project, which was I produced the first song that plays, General. And
Nice.
then I produced on his last album. I did 2007 on his last album that just came out, which just went
Well,
gold too, which is pretty
that's
cool.
that's right.
I produced for Earth Gang. Is this twice now? I did their most recent record, Bobby Boucher, that came out on their latest EP, and I
Right.
produced on their other album, Ghetto Gods, which I did Lie to Me up there too. And yeah, a lot of it's just Atlanta-based work that I've been tied into. Hopefully some cold stuff soon, man. Hopefully some cold stuff soon. Y'all hear about the
Earth,
cold stuff when it drop.
Earth Gang was crazy because I knew they were good, but they were like an opening act for a while. That was a slow burn. They didn't just blow up. And
Yeah,
they kept being opening acts on these tours like Ab Soul. I think they were with JID on a tour, and like I kept seeing them around, and I saw that they were good, but then they dropped. What was the album that just catapulted them? There's one
it,
album they dropped out. Forget it
damn.
was. Forget the
Is
name of
it
it, but
the Strays with Rabies one was pretty good. That was like right around the time when Mac Miller dropped Good AM. I don't know if that's the one, but I know that one
no.
was
Well,
good.
one of their albums, all of a sudden it came out, and there was like wildfire.
Mm,
All of a sudden they were like a big headline act, and then it was like it was on, and
yeah,
it happened fast. But like at that point, once that album came, but they grinded. I got to give it to them. They grinded out on the opening act circuit for a while.
sometimes you got to work for what you need. I respect it.
Not everybody blows up instantly. I mean, even
Nope.
Kendrick. You talk about doing that show with Kendrick. When I did the show with Kendrick a little bit before that,
I was
wasn't even
present for
sold
that
out.
show. I
Wasn't
actually,
even
yeah,
sold out, right? It was like 200
crazy,
people in there.
crazy.
You know what I mean? Who would have thought that was gonna take off? Like, I mean, I think everybody kind of knew, but I don't think everybody knew probably to the extent. I didn't see that he would become one of the number one rappers in the world. You know what I mean?
There was a good run down there. There was a good, yeah. I've been to some good
Yeah.
shows down there. Man.
So then I got to ask you, man, Kendrick or J. Cole?
Biasly,
Ah,
I pick a side. I pick a side. I'm with the Dreamville side. They
that's
they
what I
they
figured.
help. So I'm staying over there.
I had a feeling you might be biased. That's dope, man. I'm glad. Congrats on your success. Let's go. Let's talk about the new album,
For sure.
Running in Place.
Yes.
Now, generally has a negative stigma attached to that phrase. Like
Yeah.
you're not moving forward. Give me what's your reasoning behind this?
I mean, because things you don't necessarily have to move to grow, right? Like trees they grow in place. And it's really just a reference to time during the pandemic, right? Where we were just stuck in the house and I felt literally like I was running in place. I was doing all these cool things. Again, I'm doing syncs. I just had put out a project. I just sold up a bunch of vinyl, right? And then the world was shutting down. I felt like all the stuff I was gearing up to do, I was just running in place. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna run with this title and like, but it's also an acronym for rest in peace. When you the first line on that in the project, I talk about that. I feel like I'm running now. I talk about running in place, and then the last line on the project is literally rest in peace. Like it's a play on both. Like it's a really double layered thing in there.
anything anything particular about the inspiration behind some of these songs that stood out to you, like making them or anything?
For sure. Literally things that I would. Okay, so a record like Tap Water is just a reference to just upbringing, like how I came up. Like again, it wasn't always filtered water. We drank tap water with the ice. That's regular life. I feel like this generation of kids don't have that.
So
They don't go outside and play. They don't do any of the things that we do. So like tap water with the ice to them is a foreign thing. That's like something that's exclusive to a certain generation. So I just try to like highlight things that are like different from our generation to the next generation, and try to show that they weren't the worst things ever. Like those things made us who we are. Like our neighbor, like our family knew each other on the corner and stuff. Like I like music that sound like that. Like kids only be on the game systems all day. They don't talk to nobody. Like what happened?
Right. I was reading an article. It refreshed my memory, and I was reading some article, and I was actually quoted in the article. I said to you, define who you are as a rapper. How would you define yourself as a rapper in your sound these days?
Damn, that's a great question. So for me, hmm, I think for me, like anytime I start rapping, and I'm gonna answer this on both sides too, as a creative producer and a rap. As far as rapping, I don't rap every day like I used to. Every day I used to try to rap and be like, oh, I want to be the best rapper. But now it's like I'm trying to find the best way to say my message without the craziest metaphor. I want to just be able to say it the way like the president comes out and gives a speech, right? It's poignant, it's straight to the point. It could be layered, but like when I want people to hear it, I just want them to hear it and it's sharp. And like before Latrell James wasn't like that. I was still trying to figure out who I was sonically and figure out what I wanted to say. I still have fear of saying some of the things that I wanted to say because like I didn't know how people would receive it. And like I'm at that point where it's just like, all right, this is my opinion on some stuff and it's gonna be that way. Um as far as production goes now, is there's no rules. I make whatever. I just float and there's no to define it. I would say it's like water. I You put it in a cup, it fits that shape. You put it in it fits that shape. So that's really what the production side is. The music side is way more. The rapping side is way more strict and straightforward. The beat side is way more fluid for sure.
Yeah. I want to go back to Atlanta real quick. Now that
Hmm.
you're spending equal amount of time in Atlanta and Boston, and
Hmm.
Atlanta is considered a huge music city now. You know what I mean? Like a
Yep.
lot of people go down there to do what you do. What do you think the big difference between Atlanta's success and Boston's success is?
Sheesh. So Atlanta, firstly, there's labels there.
Oh, then there it is.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
yeah, there's a place, there's publishing companies. I mean, there's actual, stuff going on there consistently. There's festivals, there's constant shows, there's places to go and see artists on a nightly basis, and like, there's no real restriction on time too. Like, I feel like there's like a certain time restriction here as far as that goes.
Definitely.
But as far as culture goes, I feel like a lot of more Atlanta artists just support each other, truthfully, too. Not to be like disrespectful, like to anything on Boston. I just feel like I would like to see, like when I go out in Atlanta, I see faces. Like when somebody goes to support, people be outside. Like it is what it is. It's just like, all right, one of ours is doing something special. We got to be there for that moment. And I feel like sometimes we don't do that enough. But as of right now, I feel like we're doing that way more than ever. So I won't ever say that we're not doing amazing.
Right. So what does the future hold for Latrell James? What do you got in the works? Anything you want to talk about? What you got
We
going
dropping
on?
again. We dropping again. We gonna drop. We finna drop some videos again. I got more videos to drop from the project. Got the show coming up at Bright Music Hall on the 30th next month, which is gonna be crazy because it's a story night.
Who else is on the lineup? I saw the show. Who else is on performing that night?
We haven't announced yet.
Oh, it's a
We
big
haven't
surprise, huh?
announced yet.
Okay, all
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It's gonna be a good day. It's gonna be a good night. Also, I just want people to also buy tickets just to come. Uh, come and just enjoy the good show because it's gonna be a nice mix of acts. And what else do I got going on? Yeah, I'm dropping again. We're gonna put out another project. I got a whole nother set of projects coming. Another album, low key, not fully, but like yeah, like another 9-track project coming soon.
What was the thing
Um.
I just saw you put out with the thing in the ice cream parlor? What was that?
Oh yeah. So I did a live performance at Oddfellows in New York, Brooklyn, New York. We like mic'd it up live, and I was like, yo, let's put it out. Like, I'm always for like putting something out at the end of the day because like I'm a hoarder of music. Like, one thing I can say is I wish people would hit me up more to come just get music from me because I write and produce every day. So if it doesn't come out, it's never gonna come out. So like when Travis, who I did that show with in New York, was like, "Yo, you want to put it up?" I'm like, "Yeah." Everything I've been let it fly. So people hit me up for features. I just been let it go. I don't want to hold on to it anymore because what does it do on your computer?
What does your day look like then? What's the average Latrell James day look like? Wake up, jump into the studio. Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Unshowered?
that's pretty much it. I'm actually addicted to this stuff. Like that's one thing I don't think a lot of people know. Like this is like my life source. Like I don't have any other addictions. Like I really love making music day in and day out. Whether that's on stage, whether that's off stage, whether that's just in the studio adding a sound to somebody's stuff, adding a vocal. I just want to be around it all day long. But an average day for me right now is I've been just preparing for the show. But on a normal day, I would probably just wake up and work on some music. If some sync stuff come through, because there's always sync stuff coming through. Like even today, I got to work on something for like a Bluetooth speaker commercial today. So like I'll probably just knock that out, put an hour and do that, and then I'll go back to producing. I'll produce a record, and then I'll write to the record, and I'll produce another record and write to it, and just have music until it's time to put it out. So like that's what I'm saying. Like I really wish a lot more people would just hit me and take what I have because sitting.
And you mix and master all your own stuff too?
No, that's one. I could, but I learned that it's better to have another set of ears on your stuff too. And usually, as of lately, I've been going to Arc. Arc has been amazing, just putting everything together and gluing just the way I need my music to be glued. So like, shout out to Archetype, man. Without him, wow, I don't think we have any Latrell James projects, low key.
We'd have a lot of projects without Archetype. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? There's a lot of projects not coming out because
yeah,
of Archetype in New England. I'll tell you that much.
facts.
Word. So, yo, great talking with you, Latrell. I know you're a busy man, so I won't keep you long, but thanks for making time. Great to see you the other night and great to see you now. And
Absolutely, man.
keep it going, bro. Keep it going.
I will do. Gotta make
All
the
right.
family proud.
Definitely. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning into the Leedz Entertainment Podcast with very special guest, Latrell James. We'll talk soon, brother.
Peace.
Peace.